Well, now for a deep dive into the impact of President Trump's immigration crackdown, Arise analyst Rotimi Michael Kade joins us now on Arise America via Zoom. Hello, Rotimi. How are you doing? It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's talk about Trump's immigration crackdown. Since his return to office, it's something that we've heard so much about. What do you think could be the motivation for the intensity behind the crackdown on migrants?
Well, that's a very good question. I think the motivation is from his campaign trail promises. He has made it very abundantly clear, to all his supporters and people that voted for him, that this is what his agenda is all about. He wants to deport people who are in this country illegally, and for those people also who have committed crimes against citizens of the United States, or people who have been on criminal records. He's also promised that he's going to ensure that they all leave the country, and is living by those promises. And I think also one of the motivation is that his supporters, the MAGA supporters, are expecting him to carry out these raids. I'll tell you, in some cases, they're really, really happy that he's doing this. He's doing this in a way to fulfill all his promises, and is making sure that he gets his base together for the upcoming midterm elections. But again, the human rights association and societies in the United States have frowned against it, and how this deportation has been taking place, separating families, and of course, making it so difficult, especially for children, to actually have the bond with your parents. And this is, while it's widely condemned, that this is not the way it should go.
Well, of course, people are going to be sad. And of course, there are also going to be supporters of this immigration crackdown, considering that that is one of the reasons why some Trump voters did vote Trump. But do you think that these deportations will have the impact that they desire it should as far as national development? Because according to Trump, he is sending away criminals. Do you believe that this is in fact going to rid America of criminals and do exactly what Donald Trump says it will do?
Well, first of all, ridding America, any society, of criminals is relative, in the sense that we don't have data anywhere in the world where criminality was totally eradicated. And also, since the assumption of Trump in the second term, we've actually not seen data that supports that the deportation of these illegal migrants has reduced or totally eradicated the crimes and criminalities we experience here in the United States. We will wait for those data to actually come out before we can run into conclusions about whether this is effective or not, or whether this is based on race, or maybe this is based on good policy that affects the people of the United States as it were. However, what we're seeing at the borders is a more sanitized borders. We don't see caravans from Mexico, Venezuela, or Guatemala coming via the southern borders anymore. And if we have, it's at a very minimal level. And that is what a lot of people believe, that, this policy, even though it looks a little bit more draconian, it's working because we don't have influx of migrants through the borders.
Well, every country definitely has the right to do as they wish as their borders are concerned. But where do we draw the line between a nation's sovereign right to control its borders and actions that amount to discrimination, or in some cases, like we're hearing about the Venezuelans, outright human rights violations?
Well, I think there's a thin line between what you said. It's easily crossed. I would say that, in the general terms would be that even if you have to go through that deportation raids, you should do it with a human face. I think that's the argument of the vast majority of people, that the people you're doing it are animals, they're human beings. And if you have to get them to either self-deport or, deport them forcefully, it has to come with a little bit of human face. But what we've seen so far from ICE and some other government paramilitary organs is not what is in tandem with the human rights advocates. What a lot of people would like to see is to see the opposite of that, and we are seeing perhaps maybe more advocacy in that area of ensuring that the administration doesn't overstep its bounds in terms of its human rights records.
Absolutely. It's incredibly important that the administration, in your words, does not step beyond its boundaries. So we've seen it would be unfair of us to paint them with a blanket to say that they are outrightly violating human rights, because we have seen that there are some people who are given incentives for self-deportation, $1,000, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. However, when it comes to children, the safeguarding for children is completely different and much more complex. Dare I say, more important than the $1,000 incentive for self-deporting. What do you think the American government needs to do, regardless of whether these children are American children, to safeguard children who are being deported and in some cases being torn away from their families? How do we prevent this from happening and from causing greater damage in their lives?
Well, I think this administration has made it abundantly clear that they are not going to spare anyone in terms of this, as they go on with this immigration policy. Kids of American origin, I mean, born in America, American citizens whose parents are immigrants or visitors, are not spared in this particular policy. And that is what is being frowned about in terms of how insensitive can you be if you don't consider children. The former administrations considers what the either one of the parents being with the kids while they are appealing or litigating their immigration stands. But again, this administration has turned deaf ears and said, you know what, everybody who is involved, we've seen, kids of who are citizens of the United States deported with their parents who are not citizens of the United States. So it's all about policy. It's all about the person who is at the arms of affairs. It's all about whether they're ready to change course. But it looks pretty much unlikely that they're going to do that, because this administration believes that hardline way is the way to go.
Absolutely. My heart goes out to all the migrants and anyone that will be caught in the crossfires of the America First campaign. And I do look forward to data that will prove that this strategy is effective as the president intended it to be. Rotimi, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much for joining Arise America.